Okay, so hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Raishen. Now, this is really my first time ever doing something like this. Don't really know how it's gonna go, but I think I'm gonna move to this style of content. Now, if you don't know, I love Monster Hunter. It's one of my favorite game series ever. And if you were there yesterday at the Nintendo Direct, you would have seen that they showed off the new trailer for Monster Hunter Rise, and it was so hype. I didn't record my reaction or anything like that, but I did want to talk about the stuff that I found interesting, the stuff that we should go over, and my hopes for the future of the game. So let's start at the beginning here. One of the first things that threw me off was that the characters were voiced. We actually heard our main character say something when he was talking to his dog, and when the hunters were moving through the air in that one scene seemingly chasing a monster, that one of the hunters were doing callouts and stuff like that. So maybe that'll be some really sick callout system. On top of that, the movement. Yo, the wire bugs, they just look sick. With how you can grapple around and just run up walls and do all of that. It's honestly really amazing how you see them running up the walls, you can run sideways. I am a little curious how stamina will work and will there still be stamina for running across walls? There probably will be, but maybe it'll drain a lot less than it would in World when you're doing, the climbing and all of that. On top of this, with the wire bugs, I think we can go deeper in depth on these, is the fact that, being able to swing infinitely would be kind of dumb. It'd be sick, but it'd be kind of weird to balance out, and it looks like from most of the footage that you can only use about 2 wire bugs in a single jump, and then you get another flip on top of that, it looks like. Or maybe you can swap out a wire bug with a flip. And then there's this other scene too, where you're sliding down a hill, and if you were to look at that scene, you see them hit some yellow wire bugs. Perhaps that's like a quick refill for your wire bug stash. On top of that, something that was really nice was the Palamu. It's a doggo, it's a good boy. That's gonna be sick. And I love the Palicos because I have 3 cats, I love cats. But it seems like Palicos are getting forced into more of a support role, which I'm not too sure how I feel. I'm a little disappointed, especially because I like having my Palico be able to attack monsters, but I think also having the division will make it really interesting to see how things go. I think I'm going to be going with the Palamute most of the time though, because it's a cool doggo, you can ride it, and it has a knife in its mouth. That dog is about to kill you, so it's pretty sick. On top of this, we saw that turf boars were back with the Azeros and the Tetranodon. And speaking of Tetranodon, there are some new monsters. We have the Nursilla, we got Acnosam, we got the Great Izuchi, we've got Magnamala, and on top of this, Rathalos and Rathian has also been confirmed from the armor sets that were in the trailer. Now, speaking of all of these, Nursilla looked a little weird. It didn't quite look like it was the same as Nursilla. So to be honest, I don't really know. That could be some other spider monster, which is an idea I've heard proposed. And Acnosam, Great Izuchi, and the Fat Frog, whatever it is, they seem to be based on yokai, which is an idea people have been talking about. For instance, the Great Izuchi would be based off, not a Tanuki, Kamitaji? I am definitely 100% messing up. It's like a demon squirrel thing with knives on its hands, which makes sense because of its tail. You have the Tetranodon, which might be the what's it called? Kappa. And then we also have Acnosam, which is that parasol yokai. And then Magnamala, we don't really know, but it looks like a Zenogre, but more with the evil aesthetic, but not actual evil Zenogre, because that's Stiggy and Zenogre, but cool and magic and shit. And it has a scorpion tail, which will be cool. I've heard people call it a Nue, or perhaps it's Byakko, so new or Byakko, but I feel what might be sick is that if it is a new, considering it's new says snake tails and the tail moving like that and stabbing things would relate a lot to it, I think perhaps we'll have this one be that representation of a Nue, but then we'll also get a monster that's supposed to be like Byakko, which would be sick. And if you were to go to the village, I guess I relate on it, it's very Japanese themed, and I've heard people saying it's a lot like Monster Hunter Portable Third. Now, I haven't played Monster Hunter Portable Third personally. I got started with Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on the 3DS, but from what I've seen, I really like it a lot, and I've also played Monster Hunter Generations, and Yukumo is definitely one of my favorite villages. So, I think the Japanese theme is going to be great, and we'll get like a lot of really cool designs. Armor and weapon designs. Now, these are more of my hopes, as we did see a few sets. For instance, this one that you're about to see right now looks a lot like what we got for Tetranodon. We also saw one that looks like it would be for Great Azuchi on the Greatsword guy as he's flying. And we also got one that looks like one for Acnosong, which was on the guy who was like in midair running and stuff. All this will be playing up in the background, hopefully. What else? Let me think. The weapon designs, that's the next thing I gotta talk about. I really, really hope they go back to the classic Monster Hunter way of doing them. Because number one, the new weapon designs from World were kind of lame until you got to some of the later stuff, and it was really nice to have all those more unique designs and not just like leather on sticks, you know? And then, besides that, the armor design is honestly looking really good, and I also, when it came to weapons, I preferred the auto crafting method instead of upgrading stuff to get the next weapon. I really think it's a lot easier of an experience when you can just go out and straight up craft that weapon. I think at the very least they could keep the upgrade tree system on top of being able to craft our weapons, or they could at least streamline it, because I found it a pain to go through some of the menus in order to craft some of your Monster Hunter World weapons. Next thing, this is on the Switch. The game looks great, but there were some frame drops in the trailer, which I'm honestly pretty worried about. But they have come out and said they're targeting 30 FPS, and I don't really know what the resolution is, but something decent. And 30 FPS isn't that bad. That's what I play Monster Hunter on, actually. Monster Hunter World specifically, because my computer can't really run it higher. 30 FPS is actually pretty smooth. Some people probably gonna roast me for that, but it works good enough. So if it's 30 FPS solid, then it'll be fine, but hopefully they can keep it solid. Now, the new map, we're getting the open maps just like we did in World, which are nice. They're a lot less cluttered and a lot more focused, which will be nice because you'll get that more arcadey feeling from the Monster Hunter games, and it'll feel a lot more focused on the hunting instead of just the world. And then the story, with the way they talked about it here, I'm really hoping that they improve upon World story and really give us like a really cool story. Now, that's mainly it, but speaking of stories, we did get a Monster Hunter Stories 2 announcement, and that is an amazing game that I highly recommend you check out. It's kind of like Monster Hunter with a bit of Pokemon and like a really story-focused RPG, and it's really fun and enjoyable experience. However, I'm not actually going to do a video on that this week. I'm going to do it next week, or Friday, or that weekend when TGS comes out, because I'd rather wait till we get some more information before I start really going over any of the stuff from Monster Hunter Stories. On top of that, I've never beat World. Like, I beat the base game, but didn't do much like in-game stuff, and I haven't played Iceborne. So I'm actually working towards that right now, and may or may not do some videos on my experiences. I really don't know. But one thing is for sure, when Monster Hunter Rise is coming out, I will be excited. I will be trying to cover any new information, and I will 100% be making content on that game. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you guys are excited for Monster Hunter Rise as much as I am. And I'll see you guys next time.